policy and regulatory framework sets the general context in which companies operate. Thus, the regulatory framework could support or hinder the transition of companies from linear to circular economy. In this video, we will start from the so-called status options of industries in the circular economy transition, and we will focus on a model supporting the design of a favorable policy and regulatory framework for this transition. We have 3+1 status options for industries willing to adopt circular economy. Circular economy is already, in current conditions, a profitable option. Circular economy is a profitable option in the to-be configuration, but transition investments and displacements prevent the reaching of the to-be status. Circular economy is an unprofitable option in the to-be configuration, unless the savings of negative externalities, for example CO2 emissions, are explicitly valued. That will bring this status to the same as the previous one. The +1 status option is the following. Circular economy is, in any reasonable case, an unprofitable option in the to-be configuration, given the current knowledge of existing technologies and solutions. As a consequence, in options 2 and 3, policy can play a paramount role in setting the conditions for enabling the adoption of circular economy. Based on these assumptions, some models have been developed to support the design of proper policies for the transition towards circular economy. These models start from recognizing all the 3+1 status options are in practice available, and therefore only the economic side of circular economy should at first drive the decision-making process of policymakers. We will use here the Policy Toolkit model, developed in 2015 by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation and applied for the first time by the Danish government in 2016, thus leading to a definition of a set of circular economy-oriented policies, and in 2018 in the first National Strategy for Circular Economy. The Policy Toolkit is a quite complex step-by-step methodology that can be, however, divided into 3 main steps. Align on starting point, ambition, and focus. As in any strategic project, relevant stakeholders need to be mapped and engaged early on in the process. Based on an understanding of the national circularity and policy context, a realistic ambition level and sector scope needs to be defined. In this step, policymakers have to ask themselves, are policies potentially relevant, and for what status? Moreover, when defining the sector scope, they should consider the sector's role in the national economy and the circularity potential in economic sense. Assess sector opportunities. Once the focus sectors have been selected, the sector-specific assessment can begin. This step can be conducted in parallel sector working groups and heavily relies on the involvement of businesses. The most relevant circular economy opportunities need to be mapped and prioritized. For the prioritized opportunities, sector-specific economic impact needs to be assessed, barriers limiting their realization identified, and policy options to overcome these barriers mapped. Analyze economic-wide implications. Once the sector-specific circular economy opportunities have been assessed, they can be aggregated back and the economy-wide implications analyzed. This step will typically be driven by a core group of policymakers, policy and economics experts, and with the participation of multiple government agencies. The sector-specific impact assessment could be aggregated in one overarching whole economy impact assessment to support the mandate for policy intervention. Sector-specific policy options could be complemented by economy-wide policy options. The set of sector-specific and economy-wide policy options needs to be prioritized and assembled into coherent policy and regulatory framework. Let's look deeper into the section aimed to assess the sector-specific economic impact. It is a crucial economic step, but how to manage it? The core of this approach is to zoom in on specific subsectors or even families of products, and consequently scaling up the impact found in these subsectors or products to the full sectors and adjacent sectors. The net value creation is defined as a product of the overall adoption rate of the circular economy opportunity, the number of units addressed, and the net value created per unit. Let's look deeper into these three components. First, the adoption rate. It is a quantitative answer to the question, how widely will this opportunity have been adopted in a circular scenario? Where 100% means full realization of the potential. It is important here to measure the difference with the business as usual scenario. This allows the model to consider that circular economy opportunities will probably be adopted to some extent even in a non-circular scenario, and at the same time to define a reasonable gap, not necessarily to 100%, to be addressed by policies. Second, the number of units. It is used to denote any quantity used as the basis for the quantification in the subsector. The unit could be an estimated number of products, a volume of material flow, such as tons of organic waste, or a monetary unit, such as the value of purchased goods. Third, the net value created per unit. Circular activities bring two kinds of direct financial benefits to businesses. Cost savings from materials, components, or labor, for example due to parts recovery or virtualization, and to savings in the purchase of virgin material and manufacturing phases, or savings of negative externalities. Increased revenues from additional sales and/or a higher unit price due to the efficiency potential of a product-service system. Imagine the case of a car sold as a service in a car-sharing model, with the presence of incentive mechanisms. Circular activities bring also additional costs, such as increased material component costs, for example, to design more robust products, or to manage the reverse logistic, and increased capital expenditure, for example, to set up remanufacturing plants. Also, these costs can be addressed by policies. If the net value created is positive after the policy intervention, case 2 or 3, and large enough to make economic sense in a given industry, then it is worth proceeding in the toolkit. To recap, we identified the role of policies on status options for industries willing to adopt circular economy. Besides, we described the policy toolkit, a model to design policies supporting circular economy transition.